Hey gang, welcome back to another episode of Try Not to Curse Season 2. I have never had to do this before, but I'm going to tell you right now, the conversation we're going to be having is not safe for work. And also, if you've got children present, this is not the episode you need to be listening to right now. And I will also say for my mom, Joanne, like I said to you when I let you borrow my copies of 50 Shades of Grey, I hope you enjoy the books. I do not at all want to talk to you about them. So same thing. I hope you enjoy this episode, but please, I do not want to speak with you about it afterwards. So we'll just start with that. I am here with my guest, Elaina. Sweetheart, how are you? We haven't been in front of each other in a couple of years, but we've been Facebook friends for a long time. So thank you so much for joining me. You guys, I met Elaina because, as she likes to say, she slings dildos. And we met at a sex toy party. I want to say it was probably like 10 or so years ago. It was a long time.
At least 10 years ago.
Yeah. And I've been Facebook friends ever since. I've had sex toy parties at my house with Elaina. So we're going to get into all that nitty gritty and fun stuff. Because you've been doing it. How many years now have you been doing that?
Actually, this month is my 15-year anniversary.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And how did you get into it in the first place?
So I was invited to one of the home parties. It was Athena's. I'll say the company name. That's fine with me. Athena's Home Novelties. A girlfriend of mine was going, and she's like, "You need to come to this party." And I had never been to anything like that before. I didn't know what to expect. I went in. I sat in the corner and I was very quiet and to myself, and I just listened to the presentation, and then I went and ordered like $150 for this stuff. And it just took off from there. She asked me like, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing this?" And I'd never done direct sales. It wasn't even about the sex toys in particular, but it wasn't makeup or skincare. Like, it was actually something fun, and I could have fun with it. Yeah. So that was the goal, to get out of the house and have a little fun on the weekends.
Well, I always it's always been in the back of my mind because I'm a total prude. I really am. Like, I have purchased sex toys. I've maybe used all of them like one or two times. Like, I'm really prudish. Like, it's just not for me. It's not necessarily what gets me off and what have you. But I like the educational side of it. I like the informational side of it. You do give people a lot of really good information, a lot of like do's and don'ts, a lot of like hygienic information, stuff like that I think maybe if left to your own devices, if you're just ordering off a site like Adam and Eve or something like that, like you wouldn't get that information. So I always really liked that about your parties whenever you were hosting, because there's also that, there's a line of skincare and there's a line of bath products. So it's not all about masturbation and sex play and all that kind of stuff too. Like, you have a lot of other things going on. And I always thought your presentation was really well-rounded, because you'd be like, okay, we're going to talk about dildos. Then we're going to talk about, anal toys. But then we're also going to talk about soaps and, so.
It's like a whole, it turned into a whole, show essentially.
Yeah.
As my demo evolved, and I love the education factor. I was a preschool teacher when I joined Athena's. I'm always going to be an educator at heart. And sex is such a sensitive topic. It's very personal, and it's not taught. School is like abstinence or use condoms, and that's it. There's no, are you washing your hands before you touch your partner? Are they allergic to that condom you're going to slip on? There's so much more to it. So I love the entertainment factor of it. We're, in education. So yeah, edutaining is what I call it.
Well, and it's true though. You're so good. You're so informative, and, and not to blow up your spot, but you've said, you try everything that comes out. You have your opinions about like anybody would. You're like, this is my favorite, but it may not be for you, that kind of thing. But you're available for any and all question, like very much like me when I talk about this show. Like, there's nothing taboo on the show. Like, you're very much the same way. Like, obviously, I'm an open book. You guys can ask me anything, because at the end of the day, it's important that people are getting, products that will work for them, that they'll enjoy, because you're spending a decent amount of money on stuff. But also, like, there is that vulnerability factor. There is, like, obviously you don't want anyone getting hurt. You don't want anyone, misusing products or just not having a full understanding of how it will work with their body or, with one another. Because you obviously, and if there's partners involved, you don't want to hurt the other person as well. I did mention back in season 1, when I was getting tattooed with Alex, about your presentation, you were talking about, I think it was called Anal Ease, the numbing gel. And you were like, I don't recommend it. Just be like, she's like, you said it as like, yes, this is a product that we offer. This is what it does. However, if you are, really you don't do anal often, maybe that's not the first thing you should be using, because your body will tell you if things are right or wrong. And I just really respected and really liked that about you, that you were like, you just kept it real. You were like, yes, I sell this. Yes, this is a part of our product line, but you need to know what you're getting yourself into.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because people have no clue. I have discovered that over the 15 years. People really don't know, and they'll use bleach to clean a dildo, and then they're using that toy on themselves, and it's not common knowledge. And there is a lot that comes with the territory of sex, and that includes trauma as well. Yeah. So you have to be aware of, how you're talking about it. There might be some triggers for some people. So there's so much more than just sex toys, and like products. So I try to be. And
there's all, like you said, there's all that misinformation out there. Like there are so many, I've heard so many stories of people like putting their dildos in dishwashers. It's like, okay. Okay. Right. Exactly. Like I mean, and again, like I said, Mom, we're not going to talk about this, but I did have a partner one time, things were getting a little hot and heavy, and he pulled out like a tub of Vaseline as lube.
Oh no.
And I was like, bro, no. And I shut it down right there. Please, that's not happening. I'm like, I'm like, what? And it's not like it was a fresh tub. It was a tub of Vaseline, probably used with other people, probably used with himself. And I was like, needless to say, obviously that relationship didn't go very far, but
no.
Yeah.
Like I said, they don't know because the education just isn't there. It's not talked about.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have be that safe space. Right. You can ask me questions. I will give you the best answer I can, and if I don't have it, I can point you in the right direction of where to find it.
Yeah. Well, and so many people, everybody's different, right? And what they like, what they are comfortable with, so I feel like, especially like kids today, well, they say, the kids today, this generation's like having the least amount of sex out of anybody. But I feel like generations prior were learning everything through porn, and that's not the place you want. You know what I mean? Like, so they don't understand that like low and slow is, like everybody just wants to like go in there, like, I don't know, like I don't even know how to describe it, but just rough and everything's really forceful and everything's really quick. And it's like, okay, but you're hurting me. Like, that's not, I don't know why you would think this makes me feel good, Yeah. So, so when you first got into the business, like what was the education like? Was it like, here's a bunch of toys, try some stuff out? Or did they have, like booklets of information or, important like talking points that they always wanted to make sure that you touched upon in each party?
So, gosh, I don't recall specifically that goddess who did the party, the first one I saw. I know it was a good time. I know I laughed and I learned a little bit, but specifics, they're not going to come to me. The company as a whole, though, offers monthly workshops. So on top of getting product knowledge, we were getting sexual education. We still are, let me not say, we still are getting topics about sexual education. And that includes intimacy with partners, anal sex. We'll have speakers come in and talk about that stuff, give us the websites, give us books that we can read. So we can pass that knowledge on. It's not just about selling the toys and making the money. We actually want to educate the masses as well, and make sure you're doing it the right way.
Right. Well, there's again, because it is such a personal and vulnerable topic. You want to make sure you've got that trust in your clients, right? Like you're not looking to just sell $150 worth of stuff and then never see that person again, whereas things like cosmetics, if they like the product, they're going to keep coming back. They're going to keep restocking and that kind of thing. But it's like, if you find one dildo you like, okay, you're good with, what's the shelf life of a dildo, first of all?
Most of them come with a 1-year guarantee. Some of them up to 5. Okay. But yeah, I'd say like 12 months.
Yeah. But so again, in an industry like that, where maybe I got one item from you and it's going to last me a couple years, I'm good. You do still want to have that relationship, and you want to have that trust with those clients so that they're coming to you for other things. Maybe they're hosting a party. Maybe they refer you to other people to host parties. Because I do feel like it is kind of it's a fickle thing, right? Like, where again, if I've got one vibrator or one dildo or whatever, and I'm good for a little while. So it's important to have that knowledge and have that education so you can build that trust with people, because again, it's not like going to Spencer's Gifts and just getting an $8 dildo, or who knows how much that costs.
Probably gasoline too. Oh God. You don't even know what that came from.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Ugh, Lord.
Quality.
I just can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the horror stories that people have, kind of like my Vaseline story? Like, I'm sure some people have said to you, like, oh, my partner tried this, or my partner thought this would be a good idea. And it's just,
oh God. The first things that come to mind are often anal experiences.
Okay.
Because it's not something a lot of people do, and I'm talking like, straight people. Because I know there's this whole fluidity, and I even have to watch my language because I don't want to offend anybody anymore. So it's not just about a certain group, but like specifically for this, if we're talking anal, and I'm talking most straight women, it's not something they're comfortable with. They don't do all the time. There's definitely been, oops, he slipped and he went in the wrong hole, and that happens.
It's happened to everyone. Everyone's had that experience.
Yeah. And they'll, play it off like, oops, but like it really wasn't. And, and then they don't want to do it ever again because they had that awful experience the first time. And I'm just like, don't let that be your only experience.
Right.
Because it could be so much better with the right partner, the right attitude, the right, time, products, all that great stuff. But a lot of that, and then, trauma, not to be a Debbie Downer, but trauma comes with that too.
Absolutely.
And my work has become therapy sessions. I've cried with clients. I've laughed with clients. It's a lot more to it, like I said, than just a sex toy. So the customer service, I make it very personal. And I think that's why I was so successful in with the business.
Yeah.
Was because I was able to be personal with those people and answer questions. And it's not just, here, this worked for me. This will get you off too. Like, is this be right for you, your partner, whoever you're going to use it with, So yeah, trauma.
Well, like I said, when I met you and I had been to a couple of your parties, like you made me very curious to try out things that maybe I hadn't tried before. Like I said, I'm pretty prudish. I had a lot of insecurity, about my body and that kind of thing, like always having sex in the dark, all that kind of stuff. And I did, I had partners that weren't that adventurous, and then I'd have partners that were down for anything. So it was kind of interesting being like, well, I want to try this, but I don't know if this person's right for it. You know what I mean? And it also took years and again, finding the right partner, to really discover what I liked and what I didn't like. And I think, you know, we've all been there. But definitely the way you approach things and the way you've talked about things made me feel a little more comfortable about, like, oh, maybe let's try this out. It doesn't sound, you know, too bad once Elaina explained to me, you know, the ins and outs and how you get going and that kind of thing. And because I think, again, unfortunately, a lot of education, like you said, it's either abstinence or just make sure you wrap it up. Or it's whatever you're seeing in pornography these days, which is quite a mixed bag. So people really don't, you know, I think the intimacy is kind of going by the wayside, especially with the younger generation. There's no romance to it, you know, and for me, like, I need to be wined and dined.
You got to warm up the engine. You can't just
exactly. Yeah.
Wait it to 60. Yeah, absolutely. And there's moments for that too. There's definitely time for that where you can be fast and furious with your partner, and you know, it can be just as satisfying. But when it comes to learning about your body, what works for you, what doesn't work, it's definitely a comfort thing and a confidence thing. You know, like not everybody's comfortable in their skin, and I fully understand that too. So
yeah,
it's a lot with personal stuff too, like not even including partners.
Yeah, well, but I also think toys come with such a stigma or a taboo where it's like either, you know, oh, it's only, you know, for use when you have a partner, or again, you know, people see it in porno and it always seems so violent. So if somebody's interested in maybe getting a toy for the first time, what do you recommend? Like, what do you think is a good approach to something like that?
Oh, goodness. So, I mean, I hate to just...
I feel like women in particular, they go too big right away. You know what I mean? Everything's about size. So they see like a giant dildo and they're like, oh, you know, let me try. And it's like, why would you go with like the largest thing? You know what I mean?
I find there's no normal when it comes to the toy thing. I always ask somebody if they've ever, my first question is, have you used the toy before?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's no, then I go super beginner. We're going to start with this little vibrator. We're going to start with the clitoris, because that's usually the go-to button for a woman. And you don't even have to do any penetration if you're not ready for that. When you're ready for that, we can, you know, try a different toy, recommend something a little bit more. But I try to go basic. And if it's somebody that's like, yes, I know toys, I love toys, everything on high. All right, girl, I got you. Like this one right here, you know. But you can't walk into an Adam and Eve, a Spencer's, and get those kind of answers.
Right.
You can't like walk up to whoever is at the front and be like, hey, I've never had a toy before. What do you recommend?
Yeah, I'm not going to Troy the cashier and being like, what do you think about this one? You know, like
I would, if you're on a website, I have reviews on my personal website. So if you're looking at toys, you can actually see if people have loved it, if they hated it, whatnot. So you can get some feedback in that way if you're not comfortable talking to somebody about it. But if you have a chance to actually attend a toy party, you know, Athena's, the other companies, whoever, that's a great opportunity to really learn and get some one-on-one time with somebody who's educated. I know Athena's, yes, we are educated. The company wants us to be educated. I can't speak for other companies. Hopefully they're educating their people before spreading knowledge. But yeah, reviews, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
ask your best friend.
Well, and again, at your parties, when you're passing around, you know, different toys, obviously they're not used. It's just to show, you know, in real time, in person, how big they are, what they look like, how they function. You always said, you're like, put it on the tip of your nose, because that's
Oh, yeah.
that's really sensitive, and you'll decide maybe this is too much for me. Like, holy shit, like that's a lot, whatever. You're not doing that at like a Spencer's Gifts or an Adam and Eve. You're not going up and trying the toy and touching it to your face. You're not doing that. So I prefer your parties to something like that, because it's intimate, but you can also make it fun. You're there with friends. It's not like, I always joke with people because like, guys are always talking about going to strip clubs or whatever. And I'm like, how is that appealing? Like getting off, like getting hard in front of like 20 other friends of yours. I never understood that, but that's not what's happening at these parties. At these parties, it's educational. We're having a good time. You make it really fun. And you do learn a lot about your friends. I'll tell you that much. I actually had a friend who, she had to have breast surgery. So she has no sensation at all. And I guess her husband's a real big boob guy. So whenever they were getting down, he would, he was like messing with them like they were dog toys or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I can't feel shit. Can't feel, this does nothing for me. Like, that's great. You're having a good time. But she's like, if anything, you're just annoying me right now. So you learn these things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's, I had one friend, she was close upper 40s, I want to say upper 40s. And she actually approached me about the toys and was like, I've never had a toy before. She said, I was taught good girls don't do that stuff. They don't touch themselves. And so I recommended a very safe beginner item. Here's a small vibrator. Let me, keep me posted. And I think I checked in like a week or two later, like, hey, how's it going? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it opened up so many doors for her.
That's
and
awesome.
She ended up buying this and this and this and this and this. And her next year was very eye-opening for learning about herself and her body and what worked. And like, imagine being 50, and like just figuring out how great an orgasm you can have.
Right.
Like, I didn't even have an orgasm until I was well into my 20s.
Yeah.
Was having sex because that's what you did with your partner, like you had sex with your boyfriend, and it just wasn't even enjoyable or satisfying until I was grown and able to really understand what was going on.
And don't you find so often that that's like every woman's story? Like, and I know they've talked about it in like TV and movies and things like that, women faking it, whatever. But I feel like there are so many of us out there that like, either like we certainly have not had orgasms every single time we've had sex. And and like you said, maybe just like her, maybe it's years before you realize again, what works for you, what you like, how to speak up and advocate for yourself and what you like. But how important is it? I mean, I think we all know the answer to this, but how important is self-love to you, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. No one else is going to love you until you love yourself. And you can't expect that from somebody either, just like happiness, like nobody else is responsible for making you happy. You're responsible for that kind of thing. And it's the same with the self-love, and that evolved.
Yeah.
I find decade, my 20s, I felt a certain way. My 30s, I felt a certain way. And I'm 43 now, and I'm still evolving, and I'm still figuring out, what works for me and what not. So what used to might not anymore. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so again, so you mentioned your friend who's in their 50s. Have you, has there been an interesting like variety and like an interesting mix of the parties that you've done? Like, I know primarily all the parties that I've been to have been all women, but I feel like it's really important for men to get in on the conversation as well. So have you ever had either like all male parties or like mixed like men and women? And how different are they from like a typical like all female party?
So I've never done an all male party. I'm not opposed to it. It would have to be the right set of men.
Yeah, because I feel like in that situation, they would treat you like a stripper. And it's like, no, buddy, that's not what we're here for.
You got to realize that I'm there to provide a service of, selling products. I'm not there to entertain, that kind of thing. And there's definitely people that have gotten the wrong idea about sex toy parties where they're like, what do you do? please? And I'm like, no, like, no. I show them, I pass them around, but no one's actually using anything. So all male, probably not, unless it was the right group of dudes, like I know the wives or whatever.
Sure.
Co-ed parties, yes. Love the co-ed parties. I find those to be more successful because both parties are there at the same time. They can shop together. It's not like, one taking pictures and sending link like, oh, what do you think of this? So I like that. They can be right there. They can shop together. They'll come in the ordering room together if they have questions. Most of them are ladies. Most of the parties are ladies only. I definitely I've had trans at the parties. I've had, gays at the parties. We're all inclusive. So it's not like I'm going to ever say, no, you can't come in. Like you are welcome to learn, take notes, take some notes while you sit in back, know? So yeah. Everyone.
Well, let's talk about what a party entails for those who have never been to a sex toy party. I mean, to me, I equate it to like a Tupperware party with dildos, But I know there are rules. There can be no children under the age of 18 present in the household wherever the party is while it's taking place. You do when it does come time to order, you do take them into a separate room. So it's private. It's more intimate. They can ask you those personal questions at that point. We're not just ordering stuff and, it's certainly not like an auction, where people are like, I'll take that dildo for $10. You know what I mean? But you play games and things like that as well. So just kind of break down how the way your parties go for people.
So for my parties, I'm usually in and out in about 3 hours. I try to not take up a whole evening. I know people like to maybe pre-game and have a party with me and then they go out, or if they're doing a bachelorette type thing. I show up, I bring all my products. Sometimes I have stock on hand, which is nice that my clients can walk away with it right then. If not, I just ship it to them and everything is discreet. So no one's going to know what you've ordered, what it's coming in, that kind of stuff. I like to start with spa products because most of my sales are actually the spa items we carry. I lure people in with the vibrators and the dildos because, oh my God, how fun is that? And then they try like the coochie cream for shaving and the sugar scrubs and they end up, buying all that stuff, which is funny. So I start with spa stuff and I ease people into it because there's always at least one person who's never been to a sex toy party. And I don't want them being uncomfortable because it is such a sensitive topic. Sure. So we start with spa stuff that's going to prep you, right? Get your skin all smooth, have you smelling all nice. And then when you're ready to be with your partner, hey, how about these little lotions and potions? And then, we can introduce some toys and here's some great couples items. And I might do a little, bondage stuff and just a taste of everything. And then at the end, it's private ordering. So if everybody has questions, they're welcome to do that. And there's always that person who doesn't care. They come out and they're like, I got this and this and this and this. Right. And I've even done parties where we don't even have an ordering room. They're all so close that I've sat on the couch and we've passed around the toys and it was like hanging out with a bunch of girlfriends and we all just laughed and shared stories. And then they placed their orders and I'm on my way. It's like, it's crazy. I make money doing this. Like just hanging out with people and having a good time. I like to entertain a little bit. So I have the jokes involved, a little comedy, just to loosen people up and get them laughing. It's not all super serious stuff. We can save serious stuff for later, I think. For a reason. Yeah.
But and I will say it's impressive as well. Cause as like I'm in Mary Kay and I've seen some other direct sales stuff before. I was in Leah Sophia for a little while. And, whenever you bring out, whenever you have a party or a get together and you've got inventory to carry around with you, like it's a lot of stuff and you have to, you got to set up your display and, make sure everybody, you have a variety of products for people to check out. But for you, it's like, you're bringing like heavy duty, like boxes of stuff. Like you have, like when I saw, and I was like, oh my God, she does this like every day. Like you're always having parties. You're always pretty busy. And I was so impressed by just the amount of like gear that you would bring because you did, like you said, it's, variety is important and giving people a range of things to look at and to try and to consider. It's daunting to me. And the fact that you've been doing it for 15 years, I think is just so incredibly impressive.
Oh, thank you. Found a really good flow where I can show a good 30 to 40 items in an hour. If the crowd allows it, because obviously people are, chit chat, it's a party and I'm not ever going to stop them. I'm not there to shush you. It's a party. I want everyone to have a good time.
Yeah.
But I can do quite a bit in that 1 hour of demoing and talking about items. I've cut back on some stock just because it was a lot to carry around.
Sure.
But people get a kick out of it. I show up with my toolbox full of sex toys, and I put on the tool belt so I can show you my necessities. And it just works for me. It's funny how it turned into like a brand. It's really like a brand for me now.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I should also say, so I've like I said, I've known you for a while. I've been to a couple of your parties. You've had a party at my house. And the evolution, I think, is so funny too, because when I first saw you and experienced your party, everything was battery operated. And then, a couple years later, you were like, yeah, we're going green. Like we're more conscious about the environment. So now everything's like rechargeable. So when you first brought that out, I'm just picturing people like, where in your house would you be able to plug in your dildo and just let it hang out for a little while it's charging? It was just it was the funniest thing to me, but I think it's great. It's so cool. But oh my God, it was so funny. It was like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Now all the dildos come with a cord.
Yeah. The quality of the items has greatly improved. When I joined 15 years ago, you're right, everything was battery operated, like C-size batteries too. So it was loud as fuck, right? With the batteries bouncing around inside. And a lot of them were like that, like rubber kind of silicone and everything. Because a lot of the items came from overseas and they're not supposed to sell sex toys like that. There's something about like shape. So they put a face on it or they make it like a shape of an animal.
Yeah.
And then it's not a sex toy. It's like a loophole type thing. So that's why everything had a face on it back in the day.
Yeah. I remember Sex and the City made the rabbit like so popular. Yeah.
Yes.
That was like the number one thing when I first met you. I was like, do you have the rabbit? Because
golden jackrabbit with the beads that spin around. Yeah, that was a big sell. That was like a big deal. Yeah. And that thing took 4 AA batteries. And it was like 8 inches of solidness, right? And now everything's rechargeable. It's quiet. So it doesn't sound like a Boeing jet is landing in your bedroom next door.
Yeah.
And small. So it's not so... Yeah, quality silicone, medical grade silicone instead of that tacky rubber.
Yeah,
would attract like a lip stuff. Oh my God!
Well, and that was it though for me too, because I had roommates forever, so I think that was also part of the reason I was kind of so prudish about wanting to try anything, because it was one of those situations where it's like I have 2 male roommates and they're always home, like they know what's up. You know what I mean? Like I can't just. There's no way I can't blast music at midnight, and want to use this toy. So that was definitely part of the issue there as well. But that's so funny.
Yeah, muffling with like pillows. Yeah, the quality's gone through the roof, and things are whisper quiet now, and they're small and. Yeah, easy sales.
Well, so again, talking about sales and things. So I if anyone is interested in having Elaina host for them or reaching out to Elaina, I do want you to know, like, and with any of these parties, because again, I think people, if they've never experienced one, they really don't know how things go. But like you're not, the hostess isn't paying you anything. Like all of your commission and everything comes directly out of the sales from that party.
Yes.
So if I was to host a party, what are the perks of having you come to the house and sling your dildos.
Being a host with me. So being a hostess with me, parties are free to host. So you just, the goal is to invite your friends who are interested in the products, who would be willing to buy them. So you get the credits. We want the credits at the end. So 10% of party sales. So, $1,000 is going to give you $100 in free product. I do 20 to 40% off an item. So people will pick like the big ticket item, right? They want that womanizer premium. That's, $189. They'll get that for 40% off. And then there's free shipping. And then I do discounts for any future purchases. Booking incentives. If a friend books a party off of yours, you get a credit to use at their party. And I'm very cool when it comes to that stuff. Like we can combine things. If you can't make it to their party live, you can still place an order and use that credit. I'm not super technical about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm usually in and out in about 3 hours. So it's a great way to get your coochie cream if you want it, get a new toy, have some fun with your girlfriends, do a bachelorette, birthday parties. There's so many different options.
And I should say you do sell toy cleaner as well, because again, we were talking about, the dishwasher and bleach and all that, but you do sell a toy cleaner, which was like the number one product that I kept buying from you because I am like so paranoid and like I'm so, not to say anal, but I am. I'm so, like cleanliness is like such a thing. So like I said, when my partner pulled out the Vaseline, I was like, oh, you've killed the mood, and B, abso-fucking-lutely not. And we've even, you've even talked about like KY jelly versus other types of lubricants. And, cause that was his next go-to. He's like, oh, then I guess I'll pick up some KY the next time I'm at the market. I was like, nope, we're not doing that either. I know what's good. I know, I've got the good stuff, whatever. But so for someone who, might be curious about trying a toy in the bedroom and, maybe their partner's not into it, or, they're trying to figure out how to get their partner on board. Where should people start in having that conversation?
Oh, hard conversations. There's no progress without hard conversations.
Okay.
That orgasm's not going to get any better if you don't speak up. I know it is sensitive, and you have to I think it depends on your partner, your approach with them. Your partner well.
Yeah.
So maybe after you guys have had a drink, or you just smoked a bowl, or so you're feeling a little more relaxed, you can kind of introduce that, or maybe you just show them on the phone, open it up. Hey, I was thinking of maybe trying this out. What do you think? And you'll find out real quick if, they're the right person for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I always tell my people, if they've never brought a toy home with a partner, keep it very basic. You don't want to bring home the 10-inch King Kong dong,
Right.
that's probably intimidating
Right.
to, bring something very small and like, hey, look at what we can use together.
Yeah.
Like, let me use this on you when I go down, or maybe I'll use it on myself while I go down on you. And then maybe you can try it on me next, and then it just kind of evolves from there. But yeah, those hard conversations. I know.
Well, and again, like you said, a lot of people's opposition to things is from trauma or from previous experiences. Like I had a partner that had absolutely no interest in like spanking or anything like that, because his whole thing was like, I will not put hands on a woman. It's like, but if I'm consenting and I'm saying, and he was like, no, I have a real problem with it. Like, my dad was abusive growing up, and I just can't, I don't want to go there. It's like, okay,
that's a hard no for him. That was a hard no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, like I said, I'm very prudish, but even myself, like I get curious, especially after going to one of your parties. And I said that to a partner one day. I was like, oh, I heard that guys really like X, Y, and Z, whatever, just kind of throwing it out there to get their reaction. And then, I would bring it up like later on, like, what do you think? Like, do you want to try? And I'm willing to try. And, some people will just flat out say no every time. And then some other people will be like, like maybe catch me next week or something, but, and then I came to find out that partner, then, they got out of kind of their prudish thing, and they went on to, with their other partners after me, were a little more experimental. So, okay, good for you. Sorry, I didn't get to experience that, but it happens. Yeah, right.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in addition to slinging dildos, you're in the process of becoming, is it a masseuse? Is it an esthetician? What is it that you're transitioning into doing?
So massage therapy.
Okay.
I guess masseuse is like a derogatory term.
Oh,
for
no
that.
shit. Sorry. Whoops.
So I learned this through the company, actually. We used to have this back massager. I fucking love it. I use it all the time. This back massager, and it was called the masseuse.
Okay.
And then they changed the name to the Titan because masseuse, I guess, is associated with like happy endings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, lesson learned. Athena, thank you very much. So, I'm a massage therapist. I thought it would be a great way to kind of dovetail the companies together because most of my sales again are the spa stuff.
Right.
I know we've been talking about the sex toys, but I sell all the lotions and the massage oils and stuff. So a lot of that I can incorporate into massage therapy and actually use on my clients. So I'm using the products, for both. Yeah. And personal experience, I just love to be able to help healing and I had a pinched nerve at one point. It was very painful. I went to the doctor. He wanted to prescribe, pain pills and muscle relaxers. And that's not for me. That's not the way I want to go.
Sure.
So I went and got a massage and I was better immediately. So I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that was great. Maybe I was interested in doing something like that. So yeah, I just finished school. I just finished. So exciting.
Yeah. Again, just like masturbation, I feel like, any type of self-care that you can give yourself. I tell people all the time, because I'm a huge advocate for massage. I get massages as often as I possibly can. And I've talked about this with Dr. Miles, who's been on the show before, my chiropractor. You don't realize how much tension and stress can build up in different parts of your body and what that does for your overall health. I mean, I've seen, like I was talking with Dr. Miles about it, I've seen videos where there was a baby that was constipated and they went and got, they massaged a certain part of their back or whatever, and the baby was able to go to the bathroom. People don't understand how much things like that just affect your overall health. And if you can just take up that little bit of time, you're talking about an hour, just take an hour to try some just to relax, how much of a difference that it can make. So that's really awesome. And does Athena's, they used to have that candle that would melt and it would turn into the massage oil. Oh, you still have that? Yeah.
Down use of massage oil. I do not use that on my clients, but
I mean, hey, why not? It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about the massage therapy. It's something new for me. I wasn't expecting all the energy work. That's been interesting.
Oh, talk about that.
Touching people and kind of picking up on things. I'm an empath, so I think that definitely affected my Athena's career as well.
Sure.
Ordering room too, having moments with people, but I'll be working on somebody and I'll pick something up and I'll be like, ooh, you're anxious. What's going on here? But yeah, the massages, I find people look at it as a luxury.
Yeah, 100%.
Self-care. It is maintenance. Look at it as maintenance to keep your joints moving, your body moving, lymph drainage,
exactly.
Stress relief. It's all around just a wonderful benefit. So I might incorporate a little energy work down the line too, just to kind of offer cleansing all over, right?
Yeah.
Self-care is the next level.
Well, let's talk about cleansing too, because you are very much into crystals and tarot. I've talked a little bit about it before with my guest, Sarah. I've talked about it with Dr. Miles. What kind of led you into, because you got into crystals and tarot and that kind of stuff. I don't mean to just kind of blatant, I don't just put a blanket on term on it, but you got into that before the massage therapy.
I did.
And how has that kind of, I don't know, changed your thinking, changed your mood and your attitude?
Actually, so it's been a life changer, actually. What started the spiritual journey, because that's what I call it. I'm not really religious. I'm spiritual.
Sure.
I'll pick up on that. There is a higher power. I don't necessarily call it one thing, but I'm in tune with a lot now. It was trauma. It was a traumatic relationship with a real shit person that left me. He really had me feeling like absolute dirt. Like I was completely worthless.
Yeah.
And I came across like a YouTube video on crystals and using them for intentions and making a crystal grid. And I was like, oh my God, kind of clicked. And I was like, I have to look into this. So it started with crystals, which evolved into tarot, which evolved into yoga, not as exercise, as counting and meditating. And then meditation came in. I'm a completely different person after all that. 5 years ago, before then, I'm a totally different person now. My circle's a lot smaller because then you start feeling, once you see the toxic and all the red flags,
right,
you can't even see it. And I've stepped back from a lot of things just because of that. It's a little low at times, but I'm still learning a lot about myself and, boundaries that I lacked before that I now have. And with the massage therapy and actually, touching people, I find that I'm picking up on their stuff too, which can be overwhelming because I don't know how to process it. Still.
Right. How do you carry that? Yeah. And then release it later on. Yeah.
Well, there was one recently I was working on this woman, at clinical, and it was just a split second. I'd been working on her for a good 10, 15 minutes. And just for a moment, I picked up on something that was really sad and motherly. And I almost cried. Oh. Like I could see the tears in my eyes. And I was like, you can't just stop,
Right,
like I'm in the middle.
Like I need a minute. Flow. Yeah.
God, are you okay? Like, what is this? So it's been really eye-opening to be like, holy crap, I'm picking up on some stuff that I'm not sure how to process. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the next of my massage therapy career.
Yeah.
And like seeing those.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've definitely I'm very empathetic as well. And I like it's always other people's happiness and comfort has always been really important to me. But like you said, you get to a point in your life where you realize you really need to start establishing those boundaries and separate yourself from other people's problems. So I'm very big on like manifesting. I'm very big on same thing. I wouldn't even call it spirituality necessarily, but just being very thoughtful of your intentions and what you're putting out in the world, what you're projecting. I am into crystals, but I'm really bad as far as like the maintenance. Like I don't cleanse them as often as I should. Like I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, fuck, I really should take the time. But like I said, but manifesting is huge for me. And I think I've started, I don't think anybody ever sits there and says like, am I successful? Or like, yeah, I'm really successful. Like, I think a lot of people monetize, like that's how they determine their success or their overall worth. And for me, like whenever I hit a goal and continuing to hit those goals and to see things that I'm trying to conjure up, things that I'm interested in, like for me, I'm like, I feel very successful in that I'm accomplishing X, Y, and Z, and I'm doing these things that I've set out to do. And that's a really nice thing too. Like I was just talking, everybody knows I turned 40 this year, and I was just talking to a girl in her 20s, and I was like, listen, your 20s is when you act like a fucking loser and an idiot, and you do all those stupid ass, dumb ass shit that you're going to regret later on in life. Your 30s is when you finally figure out what the fuck's important to you and the direction you want to take in life, which I know a lot of people feel like 30s is too late for that conversation, but I think that's really when it happens, is when you finally become the person that you're meant to be. And then for me, 40 is when you go out and you make shit happen. For me, again, I don't have any children. I'm not in a relationship. It seems like it's a long road, but that's just kind of the reality of the situation for me. Like I feel like now I'm in a place where I'm absolutely like goal oriented, and I'm focused on reaching those goals. So so for me, like success is that growth and that recognition. But I feel like people, you got to make it happen. You got to manifest, you got to change your thinking. And that's the only way things are going to happen. I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe that's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo right there, but
I totally agree. I find a lot of people, base success on monetary value.
Yeah.
Well, I have $1 million. Okay, well, can you, are you happy? Like,
right. Do you have a good relationship with your family? Do you have a close circle of friends? Yeah.
For me, success has been being able to be around for my family. Like I don't have the typical 9 to 5. That
right.
didn't work for me. I tried it. I was a teacher for 11 years. I don't do the favoritism and the double standards. Like that just doesn't fly with me. And doing my own thing, I've been able to pick up my kiddo when he's sick from school and stay home for school vacations and not have to worry about childcare. And, hey, let's go camping this weekend. We can go ahead and do that. Like that's success for me. Having my bills paid, success.
Yeah.
Success.
Yeah. And we talked about that. Sarah and I talked about that when we talked about Mary Kay last season. And because for me, like, as you know, like, again, I've been in direct sales. I've been with a couple of different companies. Like for me, direct sales is just, it's another form of income, but it's also another form of camaraderie with the people that I have met and worked with through that. Everybody chooses their career for a reason, right? So you're in it just for money, or you're in it for the benefits, or you're in it for the schedule. So like it always drives me crazy when direct sales gets such a bad rap, because it's like, that's what that person needs at the time, or what works for their lifestyle. So, Sarah said the same thing. She goes, I love that I technically don't have a schedule, that I can schedule parties or meetings or events based on what I have going on with my children, with my family. I take vacations whenever the hell I want. We go on trips whenever the hell we want. Like, and for some people, I think some people think that maybe it's too unreliable, not always knowing, what kind of revenue you're going to take in that week or that month or that year. But again, if you can make it work for your family and for your lifestyle, I say freaking go for it. What's the problem? And like you said, you've been doing it for 15 years,
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've got with some of those anti-MLM people because of that, where I'm like, I didn't have to invest $1,000 freaking dollars to start. Like, yeah, I invested a little bit, but that's with any business. Like,
right.
If you're going to be a photographer, you're going to go buy a fucking camera,
Right.
So there's always a startup cost anywhere. And like, if you weren't successful because you didn't put in the effort, that's personally how I feel.
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
fair. Yeah.
Sales it's on you to contact people, to stay consistent with it, because they're not coming to you, right? You have to kind of go to them. And no, not everyone's successful with it. I've definitely had people join, and then 2 months down the line, they're like, I didn't make any money. I'm done. And I'm like, you didn't even give it a chance.
Right.
Like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you get back what you put in. If you're putting in a bunch of effort, like it's going to pan out. It's going to work for you. But some people just don't take it serious. And
well, right. And I think it's also a matter of, because, like I said, so I did Leah Sophia. Leah Sophia is a thing of the past, so I can talk about them. I'm not a big jewelry, it was jewelry. I'm not a big jewelry person. Like I have one piece that I would like that I wear regularly, and that was it. And for me, it was one of those like, how do I go to my friends and my family and be like, hey, you bought a necklace last month. You should buy a new necklace this month. Like who, it was just one of those, like I couldn't get behind it because it wasn't even a part of my own lifestyle. Whereas Mary Kay, the reason I got into Mary Kay was because I tried their skincare line and I loved it and it worked for me and I saw actual results and was like, yeah, this is something that I'm going to have to, just like I would, you go to the grocery store, whatever, get your products, I'm going to have to reorder it. So I said, okay, I might have a little more success here because at least it fulfills a need in some way, very much like Athena's does. So that's why I got into it and that's why I stuck with it because now I'm like you said, you're slinging dildos. Like I'm slinging a product that I can actually get behind and use regularly myself.
Well, you love it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something that you can sell and promote. If you love it, yeah. Easy to sell.
And people say that all the time. They're like, oh, you have great skin. I'm like, Mary Kay.
Mary Kay.
I figured it out. It worked for me, so, so, we kind of went all over the place there. I love that. As we wrap up, do you want to tell people where they can find you? I know you're in Massachusetts. Let's start there. So she's not going to be able to come to your house and give you a massage. But if you would like to order any type of intimacy products, where can people go for that?
So I have a personal website. It is goddesselaina.com.
Awesome.
Super easy. Goddess Elaina.
And you're on Facebook too.
I'm on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I need to be better about Instagram.
I know I'm terrible at Instagram.
The content, creating content is not my thing, but it's so important nowadays. So working on it.
Well, with that too, you can't, it's not like you can show a whole lot as far as Athena's is concerned. Like you can show the spa stuff, but you can't be like, you can't like put a dildo on Instagram. Or at least can you? I don't know.
I've been thrown in Facebook jail. I can't tell you how many times. It's gotten to the point where I can't promote that side of the business because it's so censored. They censored. I've been thrown in Facebook jail over the word nipple.
Yeah, it's really weird what they care about and what they don't care about.
But Tommy Lee had his dong up on social
more
media
than once. More than once. You want to talk about an attention hound? That guy, Jesus.
On her page, unacceptable. Like, that's been a little. That just comes with the territory. I just, they want to censor everything.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame. But again, so it's goddesselaina.com. Okay, cool. I got it. So you guys can go there. Again, if you want to get in touch with Elaina, if you have any questions, you can always message me as well and I can hook you up because I'm Facebook friends with her. I'm also on her goddess Facebook page as well. But again, Elaina, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I just thought it would be a fun conversation and it sure as ever was. Cause it's how often do you get to talk to somebody about selling dildos and and self-love, but you guys, self-love is so important. Any way you do it, be it massage, be it masturbation, make sure you're out there loving yourself. Because as RuPaul says, if you don't love yourself, how the hell is anybody else going to love you? Right? So this was Try Not to Curse, and we will catch you guys next time.